My name is Clara Jensen, and I am 29 years old. I live in Willow Creek, Oregon, where the trees whisper secrets and the rivers run clear like the moonlit sky. I have always loved the quaint charm of my small town, with its cobblestone streets and friendly faces. I work at Verinet Solutions, a tech company that prides itself on innovative software. I quickly became one of the top developers there, but my hard work never seemed to get recognized. There was always someone waiting in the shadows, and that someone was Rachel, the director of operations. She had this unnerving ability to twist every achievement into a failure, always putting my name last on any project that mattered. It felt like Rachel was waiting for me to stumble, and she did everything in her power to make that happen. Despite my uncanny knack for solving software issues before they even became problems, Rachel ensured that my contributions went unrecognized. I felt like a ghost in the office, overlooked and underappreciated. Then, the rug got pulled from under my feet when our team was assigned a huge project aimed at revamping the company's flagship software. This was my chance to shine, to finally show everyone what I was capable of. Led by Rachel, the initial buzz of excitement coursed through the office. But as the project kicked off, it soon became apparent that Rachel was more interested in her own glory than in our team's success. Little did I know, this project would become the storm that would reshape my world. As we started brainstorming ideas, Rachel decided without consultation that she would pair me with Mark, a new hire who had previously worked at one of our competitors. On the surface, it looked like a smart move, but I quickly discovered that Mark was not a team player. He was brash and full of self-confidence, with a habit of dismissing my ideas as too complex. When I suggested a new algorithm that would streamline our coding process, he scoffed and convinced Rachel to go with a far inferior method instead. Every morning, as I walked into the office, I felt my heart sink. The spark of creativity I once had began to fade under the weight of Rachel's sabotaging ways. I would spend countless nights working on features that were simply overridden or disregarded altogether. Every time I saw Rachel taking credit for my ideas, detailing them in meetings without mentioning my name, a fire inside me began to grow. I tried to confront her once, but she quickly dismissed me, saying I simply needed to work better in a meeting full of our peers. I felt invisible. My frustration became a burning desire for revenge. I resolved to find a way to make Rachel realize how destructive her undermining tactics were. To do it without attracting attention, I had to be clever and strategic, so I decided to play along with the office politics for now. I began gathering evidence, documenting every time Rachel twisted the truth or took credit for my contributions. I spent countless hours in the evenings refining my plans, my anger morphing into a cold determination. I began to uncover some of Rachel's past failures at her former roles, small things that never seemed to have much consequence, but painted her in a very different light when put together. By the time I reached my breaking point, I had built a case strong enough to be quite the weapon against her. The final straw came when Rachel reached out to me directly to assign me a tedious task that should have been delegated to someone else. It was not the menial work, but the condescending way she spoke to me that pushed me over the edge. She told me, "This will help you understand the core of the project better, Clara. Trust me on this." I decided that it was time to stand up and fight back. I had a plan. I would present my findings during a meeting scheduled for the following week with the senior management team. I meticulously crafted my presentation, gathering the evidence I needed to support my arguments against Rachel, leaving no room for denial. I wanted to expose her for who she really was and prove that I was more than capable of providing innovative solutions that would benefit the company. As I prepared for this meeting, I felt a sense of empowerment. I envisioned how my colleagues and management would finally see my worth while Rachel would be put in her place. The day of the meeting arrived, and the office buzzed with anticipation. The room was filled with energy as I set up my laptop. My heart raced at the thought of finally taking control of my narrative. As the meeting began, I presented my research, detailing qualifications I had made and how Rachel had exploited my work. The expressions of disbelief on the faces of my coworkers went from shock to embarrassment for Rachel. I could see Rachel's smile fade as I laid out her past failures and how they intertwined with her current poor leadership decisions. Just as I was gaining momentum, Rachel's face twisted in anger, and she interrupted me, insisting my claims were fabricated and misleading. But as I continued presenting, the truth unraveled, and soon, Rachel's intimidation tactics were being dismantled, piece by piece. For what felt like an eternity, the room fell silent. When I finished, I felt a rush of liberation course through me. Finally, I had fought back. As silence stretched, one of my colleagues, Jenna, spoke up, saying she had witnessed the same instances I described. Soon others joined in recounting their own experiences. It wasn't just me. Everyone had been under Rachel's thumb. The revelation was overwhelming. The winds of change were howling now, strong enough to uproot even Rachel. The feedback from management was swift, as they scheduled a follow-up discussion to address our department's leadership issues. They announced that they would investigate the concerns I raised. My satisfaction spilled over. Where I had been a ghost, I was now a formidable force. But the euphoria was short-lived. The following days were filled with dank fear. I realized I hadn't just put Rachel's career on the line, but had also exposed myself to her wrath. In the office, Rachel was no longer my passive nemesis. She was now a vengeful storm. During a spontaneous walk through the break room, I felt the air around me shift. Rachel was everywhere, lurking behind every corner, her mere presence silencing conversations as I walked by. She made it known that she would not go down without a fight. Her attempts to sabotage me began small, comments made in passing that chipped away at my confidence. But soon, her actions escalated. She half-heartedly assigned me a new project, which was underfunded and under-resourced, deliberately ensuring I failed, and then sneered at my struggles in front of the team. I found my morale increasingly low as her campaign against me intensified. I tried to keep focused, but every small win I had was turned sour by her negativity. Even struggling through the project became depressing. It felt like she was waiting to seize the right moment to cut me down before the management could finish its investigation. Desperate, I turned to Jenna, the same colleague who had supported me during my presentation. We hatched a plan to document Rachel's retaliation as, together, we gathered further evidence of her attempts to undermine my work. We left no stone unturned when it came to securing proof of her unfair tactics. It was a difficult and exhausting process, filled with late nights and hushed office whispers. But with every note we took, my resolve grew stronger. I began to reach out to other team members who had also suffered under Rachel and formed a close-knit alliance. I knew rebuilding my standing would be a long journey. Just as I was nearing a breaking point, an unexpected twist occurred. Management announced they would be having an all-hands meeting soon after. My heart raced with the possibilities. Maybe this was my chance to finally put an end to Rachel once and for all. I rallied my allies and prepared to present our collective evidence. I felt a mix of nausea and power swelling within me. The time for passive revenge was over. It was time to take the stage. On presentation day, I stepped into the room with more confidence than I had ever felt before. Armed with a slide deck that documented Rachel's actions alongside our achievements and aspirations, I focused on reclaiming my narrative. The meeting was tense, with eyes darting between me and Rachel, the air thick with anticipation. I highlighted how her decisions had not only harmed employees' morale, but also affected the company's productivity. I brought forth testimonials and evidence of her unethical practices that impacted countless team members. The room erupted in murmurs. As the faces turned toward Rachel, I finally saw vulnerability in her eyes. She had lost the control she had so fervently clawed at. Senior management listened intently, their expressions shifting from curiosity to disappointment toward Rachel. My heart raced as I finally realized, in that moment, I had taken back the power from our toxic work environment. Wrath of the truth was palpable and undeniable. In the aftermath, Rachel was held accountable for her actions. The company initiated leadership changes and implemented a new project management process that acknowledged everyone's contributions. Seeing her escorted out of the building felt like witnessing the fall of a tyrant. I had finally released the burden of her shadow over me, and while it felt satisfying, it also bore a bittersweet tint. I had fought for myself and for those who had been silenced, but it came at the cost of seeing someone I once admired crumble. From that day forward, my life shifted in ways I could never have anticipated. I emerged as a new face within Veronet Solutions, a leader in my own right, but the story did not end there. The reality that I had formed relationships through adversity propelled us further, and together we brought change to our office culture. I turned my focus toward nurturing fresh talent, ensuring no one would ever feel unseen or unheard again. As I gazed out over the riverbanks of Willow Creek, I knew that the strongest trees grow after surviving the fiercest storms, and in that same vein, I had emerged not simply as a victor over Rachel, but as a fortified pillar in the community I adored.